Thank you, Ilets, for having us. It's been a real honor to spend time with the legends of the BFSI sector of our country. Just to ponder back, looking at the global economy of the financial industry with turmoils going on. No matter what happened, especially over the last 2-3 years, the BFSI sector of India, we can say that we've been rock solid. Yes. So can we give a round of applause to the legends who've been holding on and keeping one of the biggest pillars of our country together? So thank you so much. So I represent Lauren. I'm the Chief Business Officer for the Consulting Services Group. We've been in the IT services space for the last 3 decades. I like to say when Rajiv Gandhi first brought the PC to India, that's when our promoters got into the business, starting assembling PCs. And today, we are, like Josh just mentioned, we are working with companies and helping them build models on generative AI. So we've seen the entire evolution from the PC to an AI model. We've witnessed the entire evolution, and we've been focusing on the BFSI sector for the last 15 to 20 years. Just coming back, how many cricket fans in the house today? That's it. Cricket fans in the house. How many of you have been following the WTC final? We've been getting pasted. Agree, yes or not? Yes. I think we started losing the game. I hope we win, but I think we started on a losing note before we got onto the pitch. Any suggestion why we did wrong? India, we have 1 billion cricket commentators, so I'm sure we have many commentators here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think we did wrong? IPL, okay. Pardon? Oh, you mean more domestic cricket? Okay. Anything that we specifically did wrong pertaining to the final? We decided to bowl. Okay, good point. Anything else? Ashwin was out. Anybody agree to that? Yeah. How many Ashwin fans in the house? Good point. So I think that was something that I was coming close to. I think what Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid and the selectors did, I think they feared the conditions and played to the conditions. Everybody is saying ki it's a pace attack pitch. The pitch is green. It's going to favor Australia. They're going to put in 4-5 pacers. Unki fat gayi. And they said, you know what, let's also go play to the conditions. But I think a little differently. I think you don't just play to the conditions. I think you play to the conditions, but you also play to your strengths. Agree with me? Yes. And I think that's what India is doing. And I think that's going to shape the India story. I believe in the India story. We as an organization believe in the India story, and we believe that the future of the global BFSI industry belongs to India. And I think we are getting there, and we have gotten there by playing to our strengths. And I want to talk about 3 strengths that have shaped the growth of our industry, and that will continue to shape the growth of our industry. Number 1, I think India historically, generationally comes from a wealth of financial wisdom. Agree with me? We've had our own accounting system. I don't know if any of you studied, some of you would have studied commerce. We had a kata system. Generationally, scientifically, and fundamentally very evolved. So we come from a generation of historical wisdom. Number 2, we have and will continue to have one of the largest youthful population. Largest youthful democracy with increasing purchasing power. And number 3 is the adoption of technology in our industry. We, India today, with the adoption of technology in the regulated space, we've changed the game. Big round of applause to our government for the adoption of UPI. Right? We've been changing. My cousin who's in Singapore, who came here 3 years back, he was astounded by how UPI changed the game for P2P payment. So I think these 3, there are many strengths. I think these 3 have supported our industry, and I believe will continue to spearhead the growth of our industry and making us to be a leader in the global financial space. We might not yet have the financial muscle like the West. We might not have the political global power of the West, but I think within the next 15, 20 years, India will be a superpower in the financial business. And I think playing to our strengths. So one of the strengths, like the third point, is leveraging the power of technology. So just want to talk about some of the trends that we envision, what people are talking about, and is some things that you might see common or some rare. Is PwC says that cashless transactions are, the volume is going to increase by about 80%. I'm sure nobody refutes that or debates that. Banking as a service, large legacy banks offering their infrastructure as a service to other modern financial institutions to go in and offer their services to their customer base. A very big example is a legendary legacy bank, Federal Bank, from my hometown in Kerala. I mean, I couldn't imagine this. We Malayalis are all over the world, by the way. You'll find a Malayali chai shop in a port in Africa to New York City. But one thing that we don't like to do is we don't like to change in our own hometown. But I was very surprised that Federal Bank is now partnered with neobanks and offering its services, its core infrastructure as a back-end service to a couple of neobanks in India. That's people predict that, Gartner predicts that 30% of legacy banks are going to get into that. 19.2% growth in the neobanking space, and 20% of all test data for real use cases are predicted to be offered by synthetically generated by AI. Just want to run through a couple of use cases, few use cases which I'm sure that a lot of the esteemed panelists discussed today and yesterday, and I'm sure most of you have been engaging and transforming within your organization using the power of AI. Thank you, Josh. We had a great session, by the way, from Gautam. Round of applause to him. I really enjoyed. It's talking about the use, how the power of generative AI, how AI has evolved and become intelligent by adding context, by bringing the human context to its element, and being able to make better predictions on claim outcome, extracting information. So, for example, one of the insurance companies that we worked with, one of the simple challenges that they had was when customer sends you a KYC document, it has 50 to 60 pages. How do I figure out what is the Aadhaar? And from the Aadhaar, how do I figure out what is the relevant information? Thanks to AI and thanks to technology, those problems are solved. Customer assistant chatbots. When customers today, it's such a hassle to get to a customer support executive. You're always forced to a chatbot, and the chatbot is 1 plus 1 hai to 2, 1 plus 3 hai to 5. Uske beech mein 1.5 plus ye hai to the chatbot doesn't have an answer. Here's where generative AI can play a very important role, adding human context, where a customer can, ask a very contextual question and you can have an answer. A very, very important use case that we worked with a very large asset management company was for a similar use case, but an internal use case. Their sales guys are on the field selling 200, 250 security products to customers. And each product, each security product, investment product, has 150 to 200 fact sheets. No sales guy in the organization can understand all of them or can, know them by heart. Customer asks them a question, okay, what's this compared to this? Or what's the percentage if I do this in so much of time? The sales guy says, sir, sorry, मैं मेरे support team को पूछता हूँ and I'll get back to you. He lost the sale because somebody else has come answered his question and got the sale. What if the question that we engage with the customer, what if the customer had an interface where he could ask a contextual question that the customer asked him and he gets a detailed contextual answer that he can immediately answer his customer, right? So your sales, enabling internal sales, your sales personnel is another use case. Just moving on quickly in the interest of time, looking at across the board we talked about personalization, we talked about monitoring churn, we also talked about underwriting. A lot of these use cases we believe are going to be the foundation of internal adoption of technology and transformation. I'm sure we heard a lot from yesterday, from today. And I'm sure a lot of you already ahead of the curve. Some of you are starting your journey internally with your business teams and with your stakeholders internally. I'm sure there are a lot of questions on your mind. All this sounds good. Lot of generative AI use cases sound exciting, sound amazing. Okay, but where do we start? If I have to start, do I have the right setup inside? Do I have the right culture? Yesterday we heard a very good statement. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Do I have the right culture? Do I have the right people? The idea sounds great. How do I start? If I start, how? Where do I start executing from? How do I ensure? How do I justify to my shareholders, to my CEO, the justification or the ROI of the investment? How do I provision budgets for this? And there is such a huge technical debt that I have inherited from the previous years or my current operations. How do I provision for that? I'm sure these are questions that you have. These are questions that we've asked, and we've started engaging with customers and starting their journey or helping them progress from one step on the journey. So if you have these questions or if you're interested to ask these questions, come meet us. We have a stall here. Come meet us. Let's get going. So we have two divisions. We have a technology solutions group and a consulting services group. The technology services group covers the entire space of solutioning, both on the infrastructure side and the application side. The services group consults with you, consults with your business team, understands your problem statements, understands your use cases, and leverages the skills that we have internally around these verticals to solve that problem and focus on two final outcomes and generate profitability or bring down cost. So thank you for your time and thank you for listening to us. It's been a pleasure interacting with you and spending time with you. I hope that we are able to take the BFSI sector of India to greater global heights. Thank you very much.